Hey, what's up? It's Bond, and today we're going to be talking about the potential leak again for the 50th time of Dragon Age Dreadwolf's release date, as well as how that may impact some of the recent rumors about the next Mass Effect game's release date. So, as can typically happen as we jump into the story, unfortunately, LinkedIn profiles can be a source of news. And so, when you have sleuths like myself, and obviously some of these various journalists and other content creators who are looking for any scrap of news, sometimes it's just going to come from LinkedIn. Here we have a Game Rant story by writer Christian Miller, and it's titled Dragon Age Dreadwolf dev may have accidentally revealed a game's release window. And as we go through here, it talks a little bit about how earlier in the year, there's a story that we'll talk about here in a moment, where they basically confirmed all the games that were coming out this year for EA through this Q4, which actually ends in early 2024. And interestingly, Dragon Age Dreadwolf was not on that list, while there were people who were potentially expecting it to come this year. Now, insiders and people who typically have some insight on what's going on at EA and BioWare have talked about how there was a internal target of potentially the end of 2023 for Dreadwolf, and then that got moved back to early 2024, and then that at this point is currently in like spring or mid 2024 at this point. We don't have any more than that, but with this article, we may have. So as we go down here, it says, senior cinematic animator Kevin Scott listed the following info in their experience section in their LinkedIn profile. Quote, animated gameplay characters using mocap and hand-keyed animations for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, parentheses, 2024 release, end quote. And that is interesting because so far, if you've been following Dragon Age Dreadwolf at all, it's been in development for a really long time. It's thought of to have been in production since 2018, potentially, and which is a long time for any game. And we still don't have a release date. At this point, the only indication we have of when this game may come out are rumors. Now, we have had this happen a few times where a developer or someone has had something like this in their LinkedIn profile where it's referenced 2024. I have to assume someone had a chat with Mr. Scott here, because if you look at his current LinkedIn profile, you'll go down here and see that his current work at EA says animated gameplay characters using mocap and hand-keyed animation for Dragon Age Dreadwolf, which is the same as before, release to be determined. Now, something that is interesting in here that I didn't see mentioned in other articles is that he has a more recent entry in here for the college football game that's returning from a really long hiatus to EA's sports lineup. What that would tell me is that there's a pretty good potential that he is no longer working on Dragon Age Dreadwolf and has moved over to working on that college football game, which is with an entirely different team under EA. This is a similar story to when we recently saw that the Dead Space developers, who are now working on an Iron Man game at Motive, appeared to have been working on Dreadwolf from November of 2022 until August of 2023. And what that would tell me, and this is pure speculation, is that if there is outside help outside of BioWare that was helping with Dreadwolf and they're all dropping off, presumably to work on their own studios projects, much like Motive and Iron Man, that would make me think, and maybe this is with bias and hopium, that they're wrapping up development of Dreadwolf. This was a similar story to the issue with the QA workers that happened a while ago with the Keyword Studio, where they ended that contract. Everyone assumed it was because they had something to do with a union and all of that stuff. It may have been because they don't need that extra QA power right now, even though we do know that they were supposed to train their replacements. So We have one more situation where 2024 is being proposed as the release date for Dreadwolf. This comes on the back of other stories earlier this year. This one we have from May of 2023, which is the story I referenced before, where during this big investor call, they put out this graphic showing all of the games they were expecting to release in 2023 and early 24, which is their fiscal year, and Dreadwolf was not on that. That was a bit surprising because there at the time, especially earlier this year, were the rumors of Dreadwolf maybe coming out in 2023, and this pretty much squashed that, as well as insiders kind of confirming that. That was also interesting because, in March of this year, it was confirmed that Mark Dara was returning as a contractor and a consultant to help get Dreadwolf out. In his more recent videos, he has mentioned that I believe that work is still ongoing, though I can't confirm that. And the other part of the story was that the Mass Effect team had pushed over some of its manpower to work on Dreadwolf and help get it out. We never really got any good info on how many of the devs from Mass Effect were going over to Dreadwolf. We don't really even know how many people are working on Mass Effect anyways. My estimations from seeing people who have publicly acknowledged they're working on Mass Effect, I would guess the number's around 50 devs, maybe up to 100. And so if they sent even half of those over the Dreadwolf to help finish things out, that could make sense. The one thing that I've seen people talk about is that if people like Mary DeMarley and other directors on Mass Effect have gone over, and I would almost guarantee they haven't, because those positions are filled over at Dreadwolf, and we've seen no indication that anyone has left that team. So more than likely it was people who do maybe in the pre-production process, who work on environment, vertical slice stuff, who are actually making models and doing animation work and things like that. Maybe that's what they sent over to Dreadwolf to help them figure out how to get that game released finally. We haven't heard any more real rumors about that kind of stuff in a while. So it seems like it's easy to assume that some of the previous reporting that the next Dragon Age game is likely coming in that April-May window, or potentially summer of 2024. Now, the reason I'm going to connect that back to Mass Effect, beyond the obvious connections, is that last week after N7 Day 2023, we had this story where Jeff Grubb claimed that he had inside sources that were leading him to believe that the next Mass Effect game will not be coming out until 2029 or later. This has obviously caused quite the stir amongst the Mass Effect community, who simply just don't want to have to wait that long for this game to potentially come out. That came from this clip that Jeff Grubb had in his Game Mess morning show that we will listen to now.
The trailer is a small teaser of a person in a cool outfit walking down a hallway, and that's it. And people, you want some original reporting? This game is just nowhere near coming out.
Oh, no trouble.
I was told, so when they announced or when they revealed Dragon Age Dreadwolf in 2018, this is similar in terms of timeline, where that was announced in 2018, and we're not getting that game till maybe next year. So now do the math for that, and we're talking 2029 for Mass Effect 5.
Dog, this game is... I've heard some things as well, and this game is so far away.
It is so far away.
In another galaxy right now.
So that kind of, in my opinion, off-the-cuff reporting, it definitely set people into a loop. Myself I made some videos about it. A lot of people have been talking about it. The situation since he said that has been interesting. At one point, he kind of acknowledged that he was saying, it sounded like he was just doing math. So it sounded like someone told him the game is really far away, and compared it to the development length of something like Dreadwolf that was announced in 2018 and is coming out probably in 2024, 6 years later. He was applying that timeline starting now for Mass Effect with this in 7-day announcement, and then, you know, pushing that 6 years to 2029. When people have pushed back and pointed out that Dreadwolf was announced in 2018 and Mass Effect was actually announced in 2020. Therefore, if you put that same timeline, you're looking more at the 2026-27 window. He kind of relented on that and acknowledged that, but then has also doubled down since then and again said, no, my source is the one who insinuated the 2029 date. But that's not what he says right there. And then some of his reporting on Mass Effect in general is kind of weird, where it sort of seemed like at one point he didn't know there was already announcements for Mass Effect, the next game, back in 2020, 21, 22, and then again this year. This guy once doubled down so hard he had to cut off his hair because he was wrong about a scoop. Now, that situation was different because it was Nintendo, and his scoop was probably right, and then Nintendo changed its mind. So I don't want to conflate those two things too much, but it's worth considering that sometimes, you know, people will double down when they are fairly sure they're right, but maybe they aren't guaranteed to be. That, admittedly, from me, also comes with this thing called copium and hopium. We'll be covering that Mass Effect, when it's going to come out, debacle for a long time. For now, I think it's more interesting to think about, you know, Dreadwolf, and the simple fact is that if you're a Mass Effect fan, you need Dreadwolf to come out before they can probably even determine how long it's going to come out, you know, for the next Mass Effect game, because they haven't even started fully working on it yet. And if they still have people from their own team over on Dreadwolf, it makes it even harder for them to predict how long it's going to take. If it's going to be 2026, if it's going to be 2030, we have no idea. It is still one of those situations where I've talked about it a fair amount, that I kind of feel bad for Dragon Age fans at this point, because we get so much more information about the next Mass Effect game that's still in pre-production and is nowhere near coming out, while Dragon Age fans are sitting here trying to get any kind of info about a game that is likely coming out in less than a year, much less than a year. So I think this is all very interesting. We will continue to keep our eyes on LinkedIn for any more leaks or rumors, and I will definitely report on it. So if you like Dragon Age, if you like Mass Effect, if you're into BioWare, if you just like gaming news and speculation and reviews in general, please subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, hit that like button. It helps me get noticed by others. If you have something to say, do it down in the comments, or you can just say hello. I am Bond Diesel all over the internet, especially over on Twitter, where I still spend more of my time than I should, as well as over on Twitch, where I stream a few times a week, which is actually a multi-stream, right here on YouTube and over there. Either place is a good place to watch. I also have 2 gaming podcasts, one being a weekly news gaming show called The Bonfire, and the other one, the Mass Effect Hypecast, where I specifically and focus on the next Mass Effect game whenever there's news or rumors or speculation, or just a guest who wants to come on and we both want to hype about the next Mass Effect. You can find those right here on this YouTube channel or on any podcast provider, especially iTunes and Spotify. That's all I have for this one, so until next time.